we're back. I'm going to continue painting the water here. In the first session I described my color mixes, but I'll just give you a quick refresher. The water toward the back here is ultramarine blue plus white. As I come forward I have phthalo blue plus white, and then in the very front is phthalo turquoise blue plus white. Now I'm going to start covering my water, and I cover the water first, then I pull the reflections down into the water. It's like the reflections of the horse. His legs will be pulled down into the water. I'll just bring some darker strokes in here, some lighter. The water is moving. It's with these waterfalls, so it's not a solid, smooth surface. So you get lots of variation in values and colors. Now here where water's a little closer, I'm using this is actually I've got two colors on my brush. I've got the phthalo blue plus white, and then I have the phthalo turquoise blue. I just work some of those together. I want the water as it comes forward to be warmer, greener. The color is more intense, and that makes it come forward. Make a little darker mixture here. I also want a little darker mixture of my phthalo blue plus white. Okay. Some of those dark tones in there. And we're going to have a little shot of light. It hits this ledge rock that Trucker is on, and then it's going to hit just a little shot of light right in here where Royal is standing in the water. The rest of the water is going to be in shadow so that your eye goes back to the light. This is called a threshold effect. This is something Jack taught me, and it's just imagine on a nice warm summer's evening and you're standing outside your home and the front door is open and you can see the light in your home, and the rest of the yard is dark, and that dark foreground, that light, your eye is pulled to that light in the opening of your door, and your eye goes across that dark shadow, crosses over the threshold of the door to the light. So that's why he called this the threshold effect. With this light back here, your eye is pulled over this darkness, across the threshold of that darkness into the light. And that helps to give the impression of depth in the painting. I'm bringing some of that darker mixture here in the foreground. You can see already that your eye is going back to this darker area back here. And I'll pull my reflections down into this. I first want to get this covered in my watercolor. The color of my water. These are not watercolor paints. These are oil paints. But I'm using a bright brush. This is has a square end, and it's very easy to work around the objects with that corner. I can use the corner for finer brush strokes. I can use the flat edge for thicker brush strokes. I used to work with filbert brushes, but once I discovered these bright brushes, I primarily use those. On my blog, I have a blog totally about my brushes. It describes the brands and the sizes and everything I use. You can go to my blog and go into the search window and just put in brushes, and that will come up. I'm using a little bit of my phthalo blue color in here, just that water's a little shallower there. I want it to show between these rocks. This is also going to be a lighter because that water hitting in here makes a foam, and the water's lighter there. It's going to be lighter here too, but not as light as I have back here. Just that water's stirred up. And it also has a reflection of the waterfall coming over. So that water is going to be a little lighter. So that reflection goes down. See, I need to add a little more of my color in here, of my water. Okay, clean this up under these rocks. Now these rocks are more in the foreground, so the water is going to come in behind that. Notice I constantly clean my brush. I use a lot of toilet tissue. This is the cheapest tissue you can get, but it's, as Jack would say, it's not fit for human use, but it's perfect for cleaning your brushes. And the secret to that nice, clean, crisp color on the canvas is a clean brush. So I wipe my brush out quite regularly. It's like right there, I picked up some of that rock color on my brush, so I didn't want to pull that into my water. So I clean my brush and throw it away. I do it about 2 times and then I throw it away. I have a friend that I paint with, and she holds on to that tissue paper until it's totally covered. She gets paint all over her hands, her face. I mean, it's just, I keep teasing her about, you need to throw that tissue away after 2 or 3 swipes. But she just, that's her style of working. I'm going to make one more little brush stroke right here of that phthalo turquoise blue, just so it drops it back behind that. Now we're going to start putting the reflections of our rocks in here. Do my water right in here. That's a little bright, but I'm going to come back with the reflection, so that won't make any difference. First of all, I'm going to pull the from Royal, okay, his leg here. I need to fix his knee, but I'll do that. But I just pull this straight down into the water. Now the dark back of that needs to be a little bit darker. And your reflections are usually a little bit darker than the object that's reflecting them. Like, I don't want to make that just a totally bright white. I'll come back. Here's my, now I can just brace my hand against this part of the canvas, and here I want to fix his knee. Didn't get enough paint on my brush. Now this little brush is an exception to my bright brushes. This is actually a round. It's a number 2 round, or no, it's a number 4, and it just gives me a nice point, and so I use that. Now I'm going to soften this leg back here into the background because I want this leg to go back behind the other one. So I'm just going to soften this edge just a little bit. Soft edges go back, hard, sharp edges come forward. I add a little bit of blue into that. And this hind leg here, or this not hind leg, it's the leg behind that front leg. I want to, that's going down into the water too. Then at the, where the, actually that leg goes into the water, a little foam is going to collect. And so you have a little bit of a white there. And since this area is hitting in the sun, that's going to be very white. Now this leg is back more in the shadow, so this isn't quite as light. We want that to go back. And I just let that reflection be kind of rippled. And that reflection is too bright, so I can come back and then we're going to have a little reflection of his knee here, his legs, and then that kind of feathers out. Because this water is moving so quickly that it's rough and choppy, so we're not going to get a whole bunch of reflection of trucker, or I mean of royal into the water. Get a little bit. And reflections come straight down. This leg is there. So we're going to have again a little reflection here too from that leg. Then our lighter color of the water. That's almost too light. Again, painting is a matter of working back and forth. Now this is going to be in shadow here, so it just, I kind of bring the brush strokes back and forth, and it gives the feeling of movement of that water. All right, so there we go there. I'll just bring a little bit of, because about here we're going to start getting his shoulder, and so there we go. Now let me pull the reflections of those rocks down. Again, I've saved my rock color. And this rock is angled there, so the reflection will angle back out. This is lighter, so this reflection will be lighter. Reflections, again, I pull them straight down, but I hold my brush very lightly. It's too dark. And I just let it, I'm just holding it with 2 fingers. And I just let the weight of the brush pull down. That's one of the most difficult concepts to get across to artists. Is that light touch. Over the years, Jack and I have helped artists all over the world through our blogs and email, and they'll ask questions and send us pictures of their paintings, and we'll give them advice. And over the years, that's been one of the most difficult things to help them learn. Shape to these rocks right here. These streams in Texas, they're really rocky, so you get lots of little outcroppings of different rocks here and there. They're just nothing like a little babbling brook. At one time we looked at some property and there was a little brook right beside it, and oh my gosh, I fell in love, but it just really was not the right property for us. I love the sound of flowing water, and in my garden we've got a fountain that is just trickles and bubbles, and it's just wonderful. But see how I'm letting some of the blues show through. this down. And this rock. And then along the base of these rocks, we've got a little bit of that foam collects. This gets, that water coming in kicks up some foam in here. And now again, this is not pure white. This is my white plus a little ultramarine blue. And even back here along the base of this ledge, there's going to be some of that. You get little ripples. Into the water. And I always paint my water wet into wet. It's just too hard to come back and paint this once you get the, if this were dry, it would be very hard to make the water smooth and make these little pulling across very smooth. So I always paint my water wet into wet. I've got a little more few finishing touches to make on this, but that's basically how I paint the water. I appreciate you watching my YouTube videos. Please do subscribe to my channel and visit my blog. You'll see the complete step-by-step process of this painting on my blog. The description, the address is in the description below, the link to the blog. The address is also on the final frame of my YouTube video. Again, I really appreciate you watching. Have a great day and give somebody a hug today. Tell somebody that you love, say, I love you. You just never know when God decides He wants to take them home. So you just let the people that you love, let them know you love them. You have a great day, and thank you again.